Now, when we complete the square, or when we factorise any quadratic expression, the aim is to solve it. Now, this one is ready to solve because it's equal to 0. If there was anything else on this side, we've got to bung it all over on the same side, and we can solve a quadratic when it looks like this. And we normally factorise it. But in this case, you can't actually factorise using double brackets. What I mean is there's no factor pairs of 10 that I can make 6 of that are whole numbers. So we must try this other method. We could also use a different one, but this video is only on completing the square. So first two terms, I'm going to do this quite quick because you should have watched the other videos on how to actually complete the square. So when we do that, we get our 9, and we can rewrite these two terms as 9. Sorry, x squared plus 6x plus 9. But in the original, remember we're factorising, so it's got to be an equivalent expression. We've got to take away a 19. I'm going to rewrite this as this side squared, and we have our completed the square answer. So what we can say is that original equation, instead of writing this, I can factorise it and write this. These are equivalent, and now it's setting me up to solve it. So let's get rid of everything else. So with all solving, generally when there's 1x, we get everything else on the other side. That's what we're going to do. So let's remove this term first, because if you think about it, using BIDMAS, the x is having 3 added to it, then all of that is being squared, and then minus 19. This is the last thing that's happening, so it's the first thing we're going to remove. So plus 19 to both sides, make it look like this. Now remove the squared by square rooting. And remember, every square root has a positive and a negative value. What I mean is that is 25 square rooted is 5, but it's also negative 5. Now to get x on its own, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, leaving me with this. So I'm going to do it once when it's a positive square root, and I'm going to do it a second time when it's a negative square root. So I would get 1.36 to 2 decimal places and minus 7.36 to 2 decimal places. So to solve any quadratic, you must factorise it first, or there is a way using a formula, but two ways are factorising it first, and this way is by completing the square. Let's try it with another one. If you think you've got it, pause it by all means, and then press play when you think you're done. So first two terms, skip through this bit. Sorry. So we complete the square with a 4. So rewrite these two terms, but with the 4 added on. But to get to my minus 6, I must subtract 10. Rewrite this whole part as x plus 2 squared. So I can say that this original equation is exactly the same as this. This is an alternative way of writing this one using factorising. So just like before, we're going to solve for x, remove everything apart from the x in reverse order. So the last thing that happened was subtracting 10, so I'm going to add a 10. Now we'll say here, if this is a positive, this can't be done. You can't, because you'd have a negative here and you can't square root a negative number. So to remove the squared, we're going to square root, remembering every square root has a positive and a negative value, and then we're going to subtract 2 to both sides to get x on its own. So one time with a positive root 10, the second time with a negative root 10, and that will give me 1.16 and minus 5.16, both to 2 decimal places. It's worth noting, they'll probably say here, write your answers to 2 decimal places or 3 significant figures, something along those lines, and therefore you should be attempting these with a calculator. However, they could ask you this question without a calculator, but this number will always be a square number here. So I hope that all makes sense, and good luck.